Burk. It is the name of the Alpines in the northern regions of the continent at an altitude of 3,500 m, as well as the dwelling of mages called elders. Burk is where all the schools of sorcery across the continent submit their ideas. The magic tower is a given, but the decisions made there are to be followed by even the floating island of mages. It exerts an immense amount of influence, such that it could be called the pillar of the magic world. And because the summoning assembly occurs rarely, only once every several decades, a mage attending the Burk summoning assembly is both an honor and recognition of one's status as a sorcerer of renown. Yet a summon from Burk is also known as a mage's grave. The scene starts at the train station train to Burk platform. Julie, Veron, and the other members of their squad are there taking preparations to escort Deculian to Burk safely. After a while, Deculian and his assistant comes at the station. Julie greets them and tells Deculian not to worry, as their squad will guard the first half of the train thoroughly. As she says, this is embraced and tries to put a nice smile on her face. This made Deculian remind about the condition he tells her at the dinner table. Julie is a bit nervous as she don't know how to smile and what to do in this kind of situation. The vice captain cries in respect for his captain, as even though she utterly loathes Deculian, but for the sake of the mission, she is trying hard to put on a smile. At that time, Veron steps in and introduces him to Deculian and tells him that he will be responsible in guarding him throughout this trip. The vice captain then ensures Deculian that Veron is a very talented person, so there will be no need to worry, as he will be able to handle any kind situation. Deculian seems something is fishy, so he uses his sharp eyesight, so check Veron. But to his surprising, he didn't get any special energy from Veron. Deculian think that he is overthinking things, so he tells Veron that he will be in his care. Veron says that he will in the cabin with him, so there is no need you water for him. Julie then says her farewell and leaves. As she is leaving, she turns around and tries her level best to smile at Deculian. Deculian smiles, thinking that she kept her promise well. Several hours later, the train is on its way to Burk. Veron is on his guarding duty. Deculian tells him to sleep if he feels tired, as they have several hours ahead of them. Veron heeds his words, as says that he will take a short nap. A summon from Burk is also referred to as the mage's grave. There's a special reason for Burk being seen as the pillar of the magic world, while also having that contrasting second face. It is because of the unexpected event that occurs every time the Burk summoning assembly takes place, the train attack. Safely getting past this event, one of Deculian's many causes of death, is something of a game of wits. This game would be choosing the safe train out of the ones heading to Burk. If you wish to take the safer option, then you can buy the information of which train will be attacked from dark connections. Wu Jin thinks that if it were the original Deculian, then he definitely would have done that. However, that's not possible right now because he cuts off all such dark connections after possessing Deculian. That's why he made several preparations to protect himself before he came. For example, it is the reason he acquired the martial arts techniques of the legendary fighter, Estrin, using comprehension. Deculian then looks at Alan and sees that he is sleeping soundly, even though he was causing a fuss because of how excited he was earlier. Several days ago, Deculian asked Alan if he wants to come with him in the Burk summoning. Hearing this, Alan busts into tears and says that he will surely come with him as this will be a great honor for him. This was unexpected, as Deculian didn't think he'd come with his, despite knowing how dangerous it is. Deculian wonders if Alan has more ambition than he had thought. The train comes to a station and stops there. All the people in the cabinet except Deculian, Alan, and Veron get down on this station. Now the only station left is Burk. Deculian wonders if he has chosen the right train, as there has not incident happened so far. However, Deculian has made thorough preparations. Before he left, he used Midas touch on a well-known master's clothes to increase its defensive capabilities, and he strengthened the various wood steel that he had spread around the inside of the train. He even applied it to Alan's clothes. Deculian have been using Midas touch, so much recently that he don't have much mana left. He wonders if he should have spent it on something else. As he starts to think that everything will be peaceful at that time, a huge explosion occurs at the front part of the train, a few days before Deculian left. Sylvia, AMD, her father, had already started their journey to Burk. Sylvia and her father is sitting in the train. Sylvia is reading a book, so her father asked her some questions about her studies in the Magic Tower. Sylvia says that the assignment load is a huge, but something she also skips her classes. Giltheon laughs and says that even though she will be an archmage in the near future, but she still work harder than anyone. Sylvia says that if she don't do this much, how will she become an archmage? Sylvia has grown fond of Deculian's lectures. For now, she don't care about Luna, the only things that she wishes is to attend Deculian's classes. She asked her father that why did they leave for Burk summoning assembly so early. Hearing this, Giltheon stays silent, and he asked Sylvia if she has heard about how the trip to Burk is the graveyard of mages. Sylvia says that she heard about it, but she thinks it's just a ghost story. Giltheon says it's not. Whenever there is a summons to Burk, a few mages always lose their lives. 15 years ago, 11 died. From long ago, getting summoned to Burk was a sign you're from a prestigious family. If you are chosen among the 20 families and attend, your family will be engraved in history. However, the families who were summoned but cannot attend the assembly are permanently expelled from the register, and there is the important rule that a new family will fill that empty space. Giltheon then asked Sylvia that what do she thinks is an easy way to drag those prestigious families down. Sylvia gets that gravity of the situation. The trip to Burk is akin to skim ice, where those who want to become new prestigious sorcerers aim for the lives of the existing ones. Giltheon then answers her question. He says, that's the reason they are rushing. He also says that he received intelligence that there's a group scheming to attack the train that's leaving later. That's why he is taking her along with him, so he wanted to be as careful as possible. Giltheon wants to explain everything to Sylvia since she will also face the cruelty of the world. Of the 12 traditional families, do you think any of the families were always traditional? Giltheon asked. Sylvia is confused and stays silent. Her father tells her that if someone needs to be punished for this, it should be all the sorcerers, as deaths on the way to this assembly is basically like a magical natural death. Now back to the present. Deculian, and Alan is in the train. At that time, the bombs fit in the train brust and shakes the train vigorously. Veron and Deculian gets alerted. The bombs brust near Deculian's cabinet, and it creates a huge hole in the train. Alan wakes up and gets shocked to see the condition of the train. The train gets off its track and is flying in the mid-air. This is the work of Deculian. Before coming, he has memorized the elementary telekinesis. Estran's martial arts is part of it, but having memorized elementary telekinesis. Before they left, helped them survive. At the top of the train, we can see some people in black robe. They are impressed to see that Deculian is able to float the entire train in the mid-air. They wonders if all the head professors are like this. A man among them tells them to drop the gossips and focus on the task. As they succeeded, they will be rewarded heavily. The men then starts to get inside the cabinet through the hole. Deculian looks at them and says, "Morons, unfortunately for you, I've already expected this." Deculian uses the small iron pieces and uses them to attack the men. He effortlessly kills some of the men. Alan is shocked to see this sudden attack. He asked, "What is going on?" Deculian strikes Alan's neck and make him unconscious. He then stands up and tells Veron to take Alan and get him to a safe place. He also tells him to evacuate all the passenger in the train. Veron then takes Alan and jumps out of the train. When Deculian strike Alan, he felt something different, but he left that thought for later as he has work to do. He uses the iron pieces and again attacks the rest of the men. The men are all scared to see the magic of Deculian. In the meantime, Veron puts Alan on a safe place. He then looks at the train and moves towards it. Inside, Deculian is done with the cleanup. He is exhausted, and his mana is close to 0. At that time, Veron jumps in. He tells Deculian that he has moved Alan to a safe spot, and he also evacuated all the passengers. Deculian praises him for the good work. However, as he looks at Veron's eyes, he noticed that his gaze is different from before. Deculian takes it lightly and thinks that he is just hyped up from the surprise attack. But he soon finds that his thinking was wrong. Veron emits an enormous amount of red aura, which indicates that it's villain's fate. Veron then takes out his sword and points it at Deculian and says, "It's a relief you survived. I have to kill you myself." Deculian asked Veron if someone has ordered him to do this. He asked if Julie is the one behind it. Veron shouts, "Stop if you dare utter my master's name. I shan't forgive you. She is an upstanding knight who'd never think of something like this. Cease your foul imagination. You will die by my hand." For master. Seeing this reaction, Deculian gets that Julie is unrelated to this. He has 10 mana left. He wonders if he can defeat someone who's considered talented, even amongst the Order of Freyheim, in his current state. Veron then starts to attack. Deculian leans back and uses the iron pieces to block Veron's sword. Deculian cancels the telekinesis that is holding the train in the mid-air. After that, the train starts to fall down. The scene shifts, and we can see Sylvia. She is sitting in a room, and guard Knight comes in with ice cream. The knight's name is Sirio. Sirio offers Sylvia ice cream, but Sylvia refused, saying that she is fine and tells him to eat them. Sylvia then asked him if everyone has arrived. Sirio replies that, other than Deculian and rewind everyone if here. He then asked her if there is someone she is waiting for. Nope, Sylvia says. Sirio then takes his leave, telling her to call him if she needs anything. Sylvia looks at the window and thinks of Deculian. A few days ago, she went to the cemetery to see her mother, Cielia von Elamine Ilady, the proud mage, Gilthian's wife. It was a day where she went to visit Mom and talk to her. It was a normal day like any other. She sits in front of the grave and talks to her mom, and she tells her about Deculian, that he is terrible, that he gives her lots of assignments. As she is talking, she heard some noise. She quickly gets up and hides behind a tree. But she was surprised to see Deculian has come to the cemetery. Even with only seeing his crumpled back, she could feel his noble posture. At first glance, she wonders why he has come to a place like this. She don't think that Deculian is someone who would mourn someone who has passed. But she was utterly surprised to see that Deculian was crying. He, who was always cold and haughty, was shedding tears to Sylvia. It was fascinating. I always thought of him as an annoying professor who always acted high and mighty, but even he had memories of losing a loved one. Those tears, akin to shooting stars, kept plaguing her mind. She is also a bit worried after hearing the intelligent group report from her father. It's bothering her after hearing Deculian's lecture back then. There was something she wanted to try. She thinks that if she tries that with a magic stone as a medium, it might be possible. Of magic's 3 attributes, Origins is created using the caster as the source, and Sylvia's magic, which is composed of the 3 primary colors, began to use the mana stone as her medium, and it started to take shape. Primary colors. Creation. Sylvia succeeded in her try, and she made a bird. She names the bird Swift. She then orders the bird to fly and show her what it sees. The scene shifts, and we can see Deculian is not in a good state. Lucky the train hung on and did hit the ground. Deculian has broken some bone, but it's not a problem as he will recover soon, due to his Iron Man attribute. Veron is also safe and sound. He attacks Deculion, but Deculion dodges it. Deculion then uses the iron pieces to attack Veron. But it's of no use, and Veron has protective chi around his body. Veron attacks continuously. Deculion is finding it difficult to cope up with his attacks. Veron is far stronger than he imagined. Even if Deculion was in perfect condition, he won't be able to defeat him. However, Deculion will never bend in a situation like this, thanks to his resolute attribute. Resolute type rare. Even if one breaks, they shall stay resolute and not bend. This activates in battle and consistently maintains mental power until the battle is over. Almost no mental interference magic will work. Veron jumps to attack. Deculion iron pieces are protecting him from the attacks, but they are slowing breaking down due to the attacks of Veron. Veron swings his sword continuously and breaks all the iron pieces. Now Deculion has nothing what he can use as his defense. Veron then swings his sword at Deculion. Deculion wonders if he gets cut by this sword. Will the game end like nothing happened? Will he open his eyes in the office again? After that, we can see blood splash all over the cabinet. At that time, Sylvia's Swift has gotten there and flies around the sky above the train. As Veron attacks, the space around them starts to waver. God knows what happened out of nowhere. Veron's wrist gets sliced. Veron screams in pain. Deculion is confused to see what just happened. However, this is the only chance he has left. With the last bit of mana, he uses telekinesis and used the iron piece to cut Veron's leg. Veron lost his balance and falls behind. He bumps into the seat and falls through the gate. Luckily, in the last moment, he uses his dragger and holds onto the train with it. Veron is hanging in the air and is shaking as it's taking a toll on his hand to hold his whole body. At that time, Deculion comes in front of him. They both look at each other. Veron asked Deculion that what the hell he just did. Deculion. Answer that he don't know anything, he asked. Veron that why is he trying to kill him? Because as far as he know, there has nothing happened in the past between them. Veron says that the reason behind this, he can recall the evil deeds he committed against his liege. Are you really saying this is for Julie's sake, even though Julie didn't ask you to do this? What is Julie to you for you to be doing this? Deculion asked. Veron makes a grim face and tells Deculion that he will never understand. The scene shifts, and we can see the story of Veron. In the past, we can see Julie was the one who caught him when he beat a noble's son. The noble woman tells Julie about Veron, and Julie caught him and bring him in front the lady. Veron was a rebellious kid. He indeed beats the noble kid, but it was the kid's fault as he was the one who started it first. But as Veron was nobody, everyone blamed Veron and didn't hear his words of truth. Julie noticed this, but she was also powerless and can't fight against the noble. While the lady was telling what Veron did, a word makes Julie curious. The lady said that Veron trespassed into their property and beat her child. Julie was impressed that Veron, with such a skinny body, he climbed this high walls. Julie tells the lady to rest assured as she will take Veron to the police. The lady respect her word and let Veron go with her. Julie takes Veron, and as they were going to the police station, Veron tells her to untie him as he has used beat the child for self-defense, and he hasn't done anything to go to the police station. After hearing all of it, Julie tells him that Frisia's household is infamous for their behavior, so she believes him partly. Veron shouts and says that he is telling the truth. Julie shouts and tells Veron that even if he is telling the truth, he shouldn't hit people. She then unties Veron and asks him if he follow her, she will teach him how to control himself. Veron is moved by her charm, and in the end he agrees to follow her. That was how Veron and his liege first met. After that, he became a part of the Night Order and trained hard. However, because of his childhood and personality, he was unable to get along with others. The only person who took care of him was Julie. To Veron, everything was really all right as long as he could be beside his captain. His liege was always in front of him. She always helped others, and she did not negotiate with injustice. Day by day, Veron's respect and admiration for her grew, and so did his love for her. Back to the present, Veron tells Deculion that even though his thinking will be a burden to his liege, however he have to kill Deculion, as he will bring destruction to his liege someday. Hearing this, Deculion thinks that the words of Veron is correct, as if it was the original storyline. Deculion would be the reason for Julie's demise. Deculion decides to change everything. He tells Veron that he is wrong. He then tells Veron to take his hand, as he will never harm Julie no matter what. Deculion tells Veron to trust him and hold on to his hand. However, Veron didn't change his mind, and the villain aura gets stronger. Deculion asked Veron if he really don't intend to change his mind. Veron tells Deculion that he will never change his mind, and he will kill him no matter what. Deculion then grabs an iron piece and strikes Veron's hand with it. While striking, he tells Veron that his today's foolish choice will torment Julie forever. On the other hand, we can see Julie, who is training with her night order. She suddenly feels uneasy. Seeing her troubled face, the vice captain tells her not to worry about Veron, as he is capable enough to take care of himself. Veron is falling in the hill, and his last wish is that his liege lives happily. Sylvia sees through Swift's eye. That Deculion killed his guard, and the guard fell off the cliff. To be exact, the knight tried to kill Deculion first, and out of self-defense, Deculion killed him. Then her escort tells her that she should go to the assembly since it will begin soon. She is heading back, but she is worried whether Deculion will make it in time or not. Then, Lilia Fremien, Security Bureau Vice Chief, interrogates the officers who are working under her about the accident. She asks whether there was an explosion and attack. One of the people replies saying, yes. However, this is a common occurrence, as the Burk summoning assembly is near, so it's not a big deal. Then she asks whether there are any casualties. The person informs that while there were no injured, 2 people are currently missing. A guard named Veron and Professor Deculion. He says that she can hear about the details from that survivor over there, but he's still unconscious from the shock of the incident. A common people speak up. He informs that some knight saved him. The train was mid-air for a bit, and when he woke up, it had fallen. He thinks that the assassins tried a second attack. He shows a photo of the entire train being lifted mid-air. He says that it was so shocking that he took a picture. The lady finds it absurd, thinking that Deculion raised the entire train with magic. Suddenly, she hears telepathic messages. The voice says that the knight Veron is dead. He doesn't know why, but Veron tried to kill Deculion and ultimately failed, and head Professor Deculion survived. She suddenly looks back, searching from where did the telepathic messages came from. She sees no nun, but Alan lying unconscious on the road. The person sees someone walking towards them and points at him. They see that it's Professor Deculion, walking as if he has lost most of his energy. He thinks that if it weren't for the strange phenomenon that occurred then, luckily he would have been killed by a knight who isn't even a named. Without the help of an unidentifiable person, he would be the one at the bottom of the cliff. He can't believe that he is so powerless. Just who was it that helped me back then? He wonders. Lilia introduces herself, saying that she has some questions regarding the incident. What time is it? Deculion asks, without wanting to listen to the questions. Lilia replies that it's 3:30. While seeing the rail tracks, Deculion thinks that he has only 6 hours left to reach the assembly. Lilia tries to mention the questions, but she gets ignored. Deculion asks whether this train is the only way to Burk. Lilia gets totally annoyed. She replies, saying no, there is also a road path and sea route on the other side, too. She again tries to mention the questions, telling him to listen to the end. She tries to ask about the knight whom he was fighting, but the next moment she sees Deculion is already gone. "Wasn't head Professor Deculayan here just now?" she asks. The officer says that perhaps Deculayan used acceleration magic. Lilia says that even after blocking the train from derailing with telekinesis and fighting assassins and Veron, Deculayan used the high-level magic known as Accelerate. Just how much mana does that guy have, she wonders. Now she sees why Lockhart, the wizard killer, mentioned Deculayan. At Burk assembly, Sylvia's father says that it's almost 9:53, the time to start the assembly. On the contrary, Sylvia sees that Deculayan is still not here. The great leader says that before the assembly begins, he would like to express humble gratitude to those who have responded to the summons while releasing a huge amount of mana. Sylvia thinks that the amount of mana being released is incredible. So, he must be Dzegdan, Burk's great elder. He was the closest candidate to becoming an archmage. He's a living legend who left the secular society of his own accord, so she realizes that she has to at least be on that level to be able to challenge becoming an archmage. The great leader, Dzegdan, mentions that after attendance, they will begin the assembly. He calls for Giltheon of the Iliad family, Ithensel of the Bran family, Baron of the Viored family, Ihelm of the Rewind family. They all are present. Next, he calls for Deculayan of the Euclane family, but he still isn't here. Dzegdan says that if Deculayan doesn't arrive before he calls his name 3 times, he will assume that Deculayan did not respond to the summons, and he will be eliminated from the 12 sorcerers. After hearing this, other sorcerers started gossiping. They say that the elimination of the Euclane will be a major event, as they were first summoned 200 years ago. Another person says that it won't be a major event. He blames Deculayan's capabilities by saying that the current residing head Deculayan's capabilities are much more lacking compared to those of his ancestors. Another person agrees with it, saying that there were often stories of how Deculayan's talents did not amount to much. Meanwhile, Sylvia is thinking, just how has Deculayan lived his life until now for there not to be a single person worried about him? It bothers her. The great leader calls for Euclane's residing head, Deculayan for the first. Then he calls for the second. Lastly, as he calls for the 3rd time, he has to stop midway, as he sees the door opening. After hearing the sound of the door, Sylvia and everyone looks behind. They see Deculayan standing tall, confidence beaming throughout his appearance. He wipes the dirt off his shoulders and runs his fingers through his hair. His entry has a different vibe all to itself. Deculayan von Grahan Euclane is here. The words come out of his mouth. Euclane's residing head has arrived, he says with a straight face. After Deculayan's entry, the meeting began in silence and proceeded swiftly. The first agenda item was about the demon appearing in the Black Mountain. Ithensel says that the fact that a dark demon appeared on the map carries a more serious implication. They must issue directives to each magic faction or cooperate with the cathedral and dispatch mages to the suspected areas. With this, the first agenda passed smoothly. The principled head of the Bran family, Ithensel, voiced their opinion, and since no family objected, it passed without issue. The lady announces that they will take a small recess. Meanwhile, Deculayan feels exhausting because he ran like crazy without resting to make it on time for the meeting. Now he has neither mana nor stamina left, and yet he still managed to maintain his composure. He thinks that Deculayan's traits and personality truly are astonishingly persistent. He stands up, and as he walks near the exit, he meets Alan. Alan cries. He says sorry for being late. He informs that since he came late, he wasn't allowed to participate during the meeting. Deculayan replies that he is fine, and there's nothing to worry about. He can no longer see this child as purely as before, because he now knows that Alan is hiding his true identity. But why? For what purpose? Deculayan wonders. A famous quote from a movie in his original world comes to mind. He tells Alan to stay by his side from now on. The quote goes like this: "Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer." For now, keeping Alan close and observing is the safest choice. So that one day, Deculaean will figure out exactly who Alan is. After some time, the meeting starts again with the next agenda. It concerns how the Mage Order will respond to the fallen clan. Deculaean thinks that it's a sensitive issue which won't go as smoothly as before. Vethan, head of the Beorad family, shouts, saying that the fallen clan is like a plague of cockroaches. They secretly lay their eggs in our society, multiplying and corrupting it from within. Ethansel, head of the Bran family, opposes Beten by asking, on what basis did he say that? Besides, there is no way to distinguish the fallen clan from other races. Two of them start to argue with each other. Deculaean thinks that it's expected that opinions will be divided from the start, since it's a sensitive issue. The argument goes forward. Vethan claims that the fallen clan is gathering among themselves, so there must be a leader among them. Ethansel tells Vethan that it's just a speculation of his. Their argument doesn't even stop her and keeps going. Vethan gets enraged, he shouts, asking, "Isn't that why countless mages died 60 years ago, because they were too soft?" Amidst all the chaos, Giltheon of the Illeid family, Sylvia's father, speaks up. He asks Deculaean, the head of the Uclane family, for his opinion in this matter because he has always been at the forefront of demon extermination. He is also known as a master exorcist. Wu Jin thinks that as someone from the modern era, he is well aware of these kinds of situations. Hatred born from a refusal to think always leads to unnecessary tragedies. But even aside from that, oppressing the fallen clan is never the right course of action, even if he cannot stop it. He needs to delay this as much as possible for the upcoming main quest. After all, the true common enemy of this world isn't the fallen clan. So he speaks his opinion, which grabs everyone's attention. He says that in the past, the fallen clan was indeed an enemy, however. If they examine the historical records one by one, it all stemmed from misunderstandings. Beten doesn't understand what misunderstandings Deculaean is talking about. Deculaean explains that in the Rodra witch incident, 237 years ago, Rodran was falsely accused of being a witch, and as a result, widespread persecution occurred, causing the fallen clan to shed much blood. They resisted, and from then on, blood continued to call for more blood. Moreover, he says that the incident from 60 years ago Vethan mentioned was purely political, because a mana stone mine was discovered in the fallen clan's land. Vethan opposes by saying that the word political is not something Uclane, the very family that killed the most fallen and took the mine, should be saying. He blames the fallen clan by saying that they are undeniably a bloodline tainted by dark magic. And as a clan that exterminates demons, Deculaean should know this. Deculaean states that Uclane's tradition is hunting demons, not killing the fallen clan. Vethan again shouts by saying that the fallen are the demons. "Can you take responsibility for those words?" Deculaean asks. He tells Vethan that he should not recklessly declare humans to be demons because the ones who say such things can become demons themselves. And so, the first session ended without a clear conclusion, and the issue was postponed to the next day. Giltheon, Sylvia's father, is worried about her. He says that it's a shame that they have to be apart again until the next meeting, because Burk has a strict one-person-per-room policy. "You'll be fine alone, right, my little one?" he asks. Sylvia says that at her age, kids don't share rooms with their dad. But he is still worried about her. He says that they will see you tomorrow. Lastly, he tells her that Burk has a high concentration of mana, so at night all sorts of mana phenomena occur. So she should make sure to read the hotel's guidelines carefully. Sylvia replies that she got it and she will just stay put, so that he doesn't have to worry. At night, Sylvia is looking at the guidelines. She says that these rules sound like something meant to scare little kids. So as long as she just sleep quietly, nothing will happen. She decides that she should just go to sleep. After some time, she wakes up from her slumber because she is thirsty. Upon waking up, she drinks water, but then she suddenly senses that the space changed into a hallway. Did I do something wrong? She wonders. She sees the guidelines again. It states that once you lie down in bed, refrain from waking until morning, or you may find yourself in a different place. I can't get out until morning if I'm in bed. Is that why I'm like this right now? She asks. She remembers that in the second hall, where she stayed a couple days ago, this kind of magical phenomena didn't happen. She guesses that things might have changed because she was near the assembly of elders, therefore making the mana more dense. She was too complacent that she thought it would be fine if she didn't leave her room. Now, she is trying to make herself calm and collected. But the next moment, she gets startled as she senses something behind her back. She runs towards it in a state of dilemma, thinking where she should go. She keeps running, reminding herself of the guild lines. It goes like this, that the Rosary Hotel is a one-story building. She shouldn't go up or down any stairs that may appear. If she encounters an open door while walking down the hallway, she shouldn't enter or look inside the room. She thinks that she shouldn't panic, since there's a door that can take her back. She starts to knock on every closed door, shouting for help, knowing wholeheartedly that in the guideline it was mentioned that if someone knocks on your door, nobody should respond or make any noise. So nobody will risk their lives and open the door. She desperately knocks all of the doors, while crying and hoping that anyone will open it. Lastly, she finds light amidst all the darkness, since Decollane opens the door, asking whether she has lost her way. He tells her to come in, and Sylvia gets inside, saying thank you. Upon getting inside the room and sitting in the bed, she firstly says that she is sorry that she got up from her bed and suddenly ended up in the hallway. Decollane explains that incredible magic phenomena always occurs within Burk. There are many spirits who have lost their consciousness to magic, so she should have read the rules properly, a never-changing appearance and an unwavering gaze. Is it because he was Decollane that he was able to open the door? She asks herself. Suddenly, a roaming ghost appears, and Decollane tells Sylvia to stay still. Meanwhile, he uses stone to kill the ghost. That was amazing. Were those roaming ghosts really killed? She asks. Decollane says that she shouldn't be shocked because it is simply a type of specialized magic that can only kill. He says that it is nothing to be proud of, as magic was not created with the purpose to kill. Sylvia is touched by Decollane's insight. Then Sylvia starts to show her skills. She firstly shows the flowing flame and gets praised for being correct. Then she shows lightning, metallization, goblin fire. Decollane praises her for each of the spells, but Sylvia pouts, thinking that he didn't even look at her and the spell while complimenting her. She decides that she should do something half-heartedly on purpose to see his reaction. She shows a magic spell and then tells him to give his judgment about it. Decollane says that she has done well. However, there is a bit of instability in the air magic circle she has embedded into the fire. She immediately asks about her weakness. Decollane replies that she should figure that out herself. Then she asks why he told Ephraim Luna about her weakness. He answers, saying that Luna also found her weakness herself. This reply makes Sylvia a little angry. Decollane tells Sylvia to cease her impatience because time is on her side. As long as she continues her dedication, she will improve. Moreover, he says that she can slowly work towards her goal, one step at a time, since she is one of 3 people who possesses such talent in this world. Oh my, such astounding talent. She is fated to become an archmage, so strong at such an age. She has a bright future. That's what she countlessly heard while growing up, insincere and stale compliments. But now that she is listening to Deculane's words, she doesn't know why his words feel so different from the others. After some time, Sylvia sleeps on Deculane's bed while he is still working. He senses an unknown energy coming from his window. He immediately goes outside to check, since his skill-wealthy magnate suddenly alerted him. He thinks that with the exception of the birched meeting, this mountain path is largely inaccessible, so he might just be able to get an item rarer than he thought he would. As he is walking, a roaming ghost follows him, and little by little it closes the distance between them. It tries to scare Deculane, but it doesn't work. Moreover, Deculane looks at it and asks, "Did he see an item possessing a lot of magic, perhaps?" The ghost speaks in a language unknown to all, and then runs away. What's up with him? Deculane wonders. Then he found what he was looking for. He was able to obtain material surpassing his expectations. A purified mana tree fragment. It is a fragment of a mana tree struck by lightning. This wood, naturally rich in mana, has been purified by the lightning strike, making it an excellent material. It is also known as special wood. Wu Jin thinks that after he came to this world, he trained and conducted research without rest, and he was in a slump because of Deculian's ordinary talent. He realizes that if he makes a wand out of this, he might just be able to grow his power faster. This is far greater of a gain than he thought. After that, the reopened meeting progressed with a strange atmosphere. Veron is still firm and adamant with his opinion. He says that it's true. The fallen clan have the blood of demons flowing in them, so then isn't that enough to say they're demons? Deculain shouts, saying that Veron's perception is ridiculous. If you add salt to water, do you call that water salt instead? He asks. The heated discussion between Deculain and Veron made the many sorcerer attendees flustered. Meanwhile, everyone is doubting Deculain. They are saying Deculain is siding with the enemy. Giltheon wonders just what picture Deculain is trying to paint here and what is he scheming. Sylvia is thinking that she is sure that everyone, just like her father, is thinking that Deculain has an ulterior motive because he's siding with the enemy. But according to her, they're all wrong since Deculain is just stating the obvious. Then the great leader speaks up, telling them to stop. He says that a conclusion will not be devised at this rate. The matter regarding the blood shrouds will be added to the next meeting. And now they should discuss the next thing on the agenda, unlike the blood shrouds, meaning the matter regarding the fallen clan. The other matters' discussions have progressed quickly, and the meeting came to a close after several days. At the meeting's end, Veron angrily and intentionally bumps into Deculain while leaving the meeting room. While Deculain did wish for this outcome for the sake of the main quest in the future, but in order to do that, he has become estranged with more people, it seems. The next day at the Burk shopping district, Deculain is here to make a wand. He decides that he must create a wand here in Burk before leaving. What materials would be best to use when making a wand out of a magical tree, he wonders. As he is thinking about it, Alan calls him, "Professor, Professor." While pointing his finger, Alan says that the person over there is his hero. Because of that person, he was able to come here safely. Deculain sees that the person Alan is talking about is Lilia Primian, Vice Chief of the Security Bureau. After that, they decided to treat Lilia Primian to a meal. It was to repay her for bringing Alan here safely. She thanks Deculain for treating her to a meal. She says that she knows it's rude of her to bring this up here, but she informs him that the investigation has concluded. "What happened to the escort guard, Veron?" Deculain asks. She replies that Veron died because of an ambush. As they are eating their meal, Lilia thinks just what exactly is different about Deculain as Lockhart mentioned. Previously, under direct imperial order at the Imperium Security Bureau, Lilia told Lockhart that he will be sent to the most notorious prison, named Lecordac. It's the most obvious punishment, considering he has killed innocent mages. "Do you have anything to say?" she asked. She sees that Lockhart is a person who is only tight-lipped in interrogation. Then she told him to activate his power. Lockhart smiles and activated his power, and after seeing this, Lilia revealed her true identity. She calls him an idiot. She says that she told him to not be so rash, yet why did you do something that would negatively affect our kind? She asks. She says that she did think of killing Lockhart. If it's revealed that he is one of them, then the public opinion will put pressure on her. "Do you think leeching off of this empire would be possible if you do that?" Lockhart asks. Lilia replies that it's possible as long as they are not exposed, since their kind is seen as different immediately upon birth. Lockhart states that it's just because they are born with demonic-like abilities that people are simply scared of that. Then she tells him to shut up, because the blood shrouds aren't the only ones who are born with abilities, revealing the fact that they are the blood shrouds in hiding. Lilia also asks him, why did he provoke Deculean, since they are already keeping an eye on the Eucleans? Lockhart questions whether they are observing the Euclean in order to kill the bloodline of Euclean. Lilia says that they are currently just observing, but if Deculean keeps causing trouble, they don't have a reason to not kill him. Throughout their conversation, for the first time Lockhart speaks with such clarity. He tells her not to kill Deculean because he's a true noble. There's no need to kill him. Lilia asks, how can't Deculean be a true noble? That's complete bullshit, since she has a tub filled to the brim with crimes Deculean has committed. Lockhart remembers the grace of Deculean, affirming that the blood shrouds weren't demons, but humans and his eyes, which portrayed no doubts and only righteousness. Lockhart thinks that if there were plenty of nobles like him in this world, then they would be able to live alongside everybody else. He states that Deculean didn't kill him even though Deculean knew he was a blood shroud, which piqued Lilia's attention. She says that Lockhart should be aware that it was the Euclean's ancestors who stood at the forefront of slaughtering and oppressing the blood shrouds. Lockhart replies that he is well aware of that. However, if they treat the descendants of said ancestors like this, they are just agreeing with their notion of them being demons. For how long do you think you can sit in a position of power without getting caught? Lockhart questions. Lilia replies, saying her entire life. Because there's no way they can differentiate between blood shrouds and humans with just appearance and blood. Lockhart mentions that there is also a specific food that they can't eat, but humans can. Lilia replies that then she should just simply avoid eating it. Anyway, they move on to the main topic. Lilia mentions that the Emperor's health isn't great, someone new will soon be appointed, and they have to observe how they'll respond to the blood shrouds. Until then, they are staying quiet. Lilia tells Lockhart to lay low in the prison, Lecordac, and that was their last conversation. Back to the present, she is still thinking, how can Deculean be a real noble? As far as she sees it, he is just the same annoying guy. Along with the smell of alcohol, a person named Ilhelm appears. Deculean says that he doesn't have anything to talk with Ilhelm. On the contrary, Ilhelm says that he has something that he wanna hear from Deculean, something from that dark soul of his. At the same time, at the order of Freyheim, the news that Veron has died during the mission reaches Julie's ears, which makes her utterly shocked. Regaining her composure, she tells the knight to get ready right away, since she is determined to get an explanation as soon as Deculean returns.